I was 7 months pregnant when I started sleeping with my personal trainer. There. I said it. Not it just happened or I was lonely or any of the other bullshit excuses I'd been rehearsing in my head for weeks. I made a choice. I looked at my husband Mark sleeping next to me every night, his hand resting protectively on my belly, and I chose to destroy him anyway. We'd been together for 9 years. Married for 5. He was the kind of man who meal prepped my prenatal vitamins every Sunday, who read parenting books at night and highlighted passages to discuss with me. We'd spent 3 years trying to conceive. 3 years of negative tests, failed IVF rounds, his mother Linda praying over us at family dinners. When I finally got pregnant, Mark cried for an hour straight. And 6 months into carrying his child, I was sneaking out to hotel rooms with a 28-year-old named Jace who called me sexy mama and didn't know my middle name. It started innocent enough. That's what I told myself anyway. Mark had become obsessive about the pregnancy, constantly monitoring what I ate, my stress levels, my exercise routine. His mother was worse. Linda had moved from 2 hours away to help when the baby came, but really she'd been hovering since month 3, showing up unannounced with unsolicited advice and judgment disguised as concern. I felt suffocated. That's the excuse I used. I felt like an incubator instead of a person. Jace saw me as a woman. He flirted during training sessions. Made me feel desired when I felt huge and unattractive. My friend Kayla said I deserved to feel good about myself, that pregnancy shouldn't mean losing my identity. So when Jace texted me after a session asking if I wanted to grab a smoothie, I said yes. When the smoothie turned into dinner, I didn't stop it. When he kissed me in his car, I kissed him back. The first time we had sex, I cried after. He thought it was hormones. I let him think that. I told myself it wasn't really cheating because I was going to end it. I told myself Mark would never find out. I told myself I was still a good wife, a good mother-to-be, because I came home and played the part perfectly. I researched cribs and painted the nursery and let Mark take photos of my growing belly for his Instagram with captions about being blessed. The lies came so easily it scared me. But not enough to stop. I saw Jace twice a week, sometimes 3 times if I could invent a prenatal yoga class or a doctor's appointment. He never asked to meet my friends or learn about my life. That should have been a red flag, but I didn't want him to know my life. I wanted the escape. Our daughter, would kick during those hotel visits, and I'd put my hand on my stomach and feel like a monster. But then Jace would kiss my neck and I'd stop thinking about it. Mark started noticing small things. Why was I showering immediately when I got home? Why was my phone always face down? I got sloppy with my lies, mixing up which yoga studio I'd supposedly been to, which friend I'd grabbed lunch with. His mother noticed too. Linda had always been protective of Mark, skeptical of me from the beginning because I wasn't religious enough, didn't come from the right kind of family. She started making comments. You seem distant lately. Mark looked stressed. I hope you're taking care of my son. I resented her even more for seeing through me. It all came apart on a Tuesday. I was supposed to be at a birthing class. Instead, I was at the Marriott on 5th Street. Jace had been distant lately, checking his phone more, cutting our sessions short. I should have seen it coming, but I was too caught up in my own spiral. He told me he was moving to California. A gym out there offered him a management position. He was leaving in 2 weeks. What about us? I asked, and even as the words left my mouth, I knew how pathetic I sounded. He looked at me like I was crazy. Us? Come on, Sarah. You're married. And pregnant. This was just fun. Just fun. 7 months of destroying my marriage, betraying the father of my child, lying to everyone I loved. Just fun. I drove home in a fog. I didn't cry. I felt nothing. Empty. Mark was in the kitchen when I walked in. His mother was there too, sitting at our table with her hands folded. The look on their faces made my blood go cold. How was the birthing class? Mark asked. His voice was flat. It was good, I said automatically. Learned some breathing techniques. That's interesting, Linda said, because I called the hospital to sign up for their grandparent class. They said you haven't been to a single session. My mouth went dry. Mark stood up slowly. Where were you, Sarah? I could have lied. I'd gotten so good at lying. But something in his eyes, the way he was looking at me like I was a stranger, made the words die in my throat. I need to sit down, I said. Where were you? Linda pulled out her phone. I called 3 of your friends. Kayla admitted you weren't with her today. Or last Tuesday. Or the Thursday before that. The room tilted. Of course Linda had called. Of course she'd been tracking me, building a case. Mark, I started, but I didn't know how to finish. He walked past me to the bedroom. I heard drawers opening, hangers sliding. Linda stood in the doorway, blocking my path, her face hard with righteous vindication. When Mark came back out, he had a duffel bag. He walked straight to the nursery, started taking things out. The stuffed elephant he bought on our baby moon. The first outfit we picked out together. The blanket his grandmother had knitted. "What are you doing?" My voice cracked. He didn't look at me. Just kept packing. Linda moved past me and started helping him, wrapping items carefully, efficiently. "Mark, please. Let me explain." He finally stopped. Turned to face me. His eyes were red but dry. "Who is he?" "It doesn't matter. It's over. He's leaving." It meant nothing. "Who is he?" "My trainer. Jace." "But Mark, I swear, it's done. I made a terrible mistake. I'll do anything." "Is the baby mine?" The question hit me like a physical blow. "Yes. God, yes. Mark, you're the father. There's no question." "How do I know that? How do I know anything you say is true?" I had no answer. Because he was right. I destroyed every bit of trust between us. He picked up the bag. Linda grabbed another box of baby items. They moved toward the door like I wasn't even there. "Where are you going?" I asked. "My mother's house. My lawyer will contact you." "Your lawyer?" "Mark, please. We can work through this. Think about the baby. Our daughter." He stopped at the door. When he turned back, his face was empty of everything I'd loved about him. The warmth. The kindness. Gone. I'm thinking about my daughter. I'm thinking she deserves better than a mother who would do this. Better than someone who would lie and cheat while carrying a child. You want to know what I'm really thinking, Sarah? I'm thinking about how I'll tell her one day that her mother destroyed our family before she was even born. How I'll explain that you cared more about some gym rat than being a decent human being. Linda put her hand on his arm. "Let's go, honey." They left. The door closed. I stood in my living room, surrounded by half-packed baby items and the ruins of my life. I sank to the floor, hand on my belly, feeling my daughter move inside me, completely unaware that I'd just destroyed her world too. My phone buzzed. A text from Kayla. Linda cornered me. "I'm sorry. I thought she already knew." Another buzz. Mark's mother, in a group text that included his entire family. "Please pray for Mark during this difficult time. Sarah has betrayed him and our family in the worst way possible." 47 people saw that message. 47 people who'd been at our wedding, who'd celebrated our pregnancy announcement, who were supposed to be at the baby shower next month. I threw up in the kitchen sink. This was real. This was happening. And there was no taking it back. The contractions started at 2 a.m., 3 weeks later. I'd been living alone since that night. Mark had his lawyer send papers. He wanted a paternity test the moment the baby was born. He wanted primary custody. He'd already set up a nursery at Linda's house. I hadn't seen him in person since he walked out. He communicated only through his lawyer and his mother. Linda, who'd somehow become the gatekeeper of my own husband and child. When the contractions came, I called Mark. Voicemail. I called again. Nothing. I called Linda. What? Her voice was ice. "I'm in labor. I need Mark. Mark is asleep. He has work in the morning. Linda, please. The baby's coming." Then call 911. That's what responsible people do. She hung up. I sat on the edge of my bed, another contraction rolling through me, and understood with perfect clarity that I was about to do this alone. I called an Uber to the hospital. The driver, a kind older woman, kept asking if I wanted her to wait, if there was someone she should call. I lied and said my husband was meeting me there. Labor lasted 14 hours. I had my phone next to me the whole time, waiting for Mark to call back. He never did. My daughter was born at 4:17 p.m. 6 pounds, 9 ounces. Perfect. They placed her on my chest and I felt a love so overwhelming it made everything else in the world shrink to nothing. And then I felt the crushing weight of what I'd done. This perfect little person, and I'd already broken her family. She'd never have a photo of her parents holding her together for the first time. Never have that magical moment of her father cutting the cord. Because I'd thrown that away for hotel sex with someone who didn't even remember my last name. The nurses kept asking about Dad. "He's on his way," I kept saying. I texted Mark, "She's here. She's beautiful. Please come meet your daughter." He responded 3 hours later, "My lawyer will be in contact about the paternity test. My mother will pick up necessary items from the house." That was it. That was how he acknowledged his daughter's birth. Linda showed up the next morning with Mark's sister Rachel. Not to help. To inventory. They went through my hospital bag like TSA agents, checking every item I'd brought to make sure nothing belonged to Mark or his family. That blanket was a gift from Mark's aunt, Rachel said, snatching it from the bassinet. You're not keeping it. It's for the baby, I said. The baby Mark isn't even sure is his, Linda said. Thanks to you. They took half the items I'd brought. I sat there holding my newborn, too tired and broken to fight. The lactation consultant came in as they were leaving. Is everything okay? Where's Dad? Dad's not in the picture, Linda said loudly, making sure the nurses heard. Sarah here cheated on him while pregnant. With her personal trainer. The consultant's face changed. That pitying, disgusted look I was getting used to. I was discharged the next day. I took an Uber home with my daughter, installed her car seat myself while the driver waited. Carried her into an empty house that still smelled like betrayal and regret. The paternity test confirmed what I'd known. She was Mark's. But it didn't matter. He still wanted custody. The divorce proceedings were brutal. Mark's lawyer painted me as an unfit mother. Exhibit A, I'd endangered the pregnancy by having an affair, increasing my stress levels. Exhibit B, I'd lied pathologically for months. Exhibit C, multiple witnesses testified to my erratic behavior and deceptive nature. Witnesses. That's what my former friends had become. Kayla testified that I'd manipulated her into covering for me. My own sister said she'd been concerned about my judgment during the pregnancy. Mark's lawyer presented texts from Jace. Apparently, Jace wasn't opposed to making some money by handing over our entire message history. The judge read them out loud. Every filthy text, every lie I told Mark that I bragged about to Jace. It was like watching a documentary of my worst self. I got alternating weekends. Supervised at first because Linda convinced the court I might be unstable. Mark moved on fast. 6 months after our divorce was final, he started dating someone from his church. Emily. Blonde, sweet, volunteered at a soup kitchen. Everything I wasn't. My daughter called her Auntie M before she could even say my name clearly. I lost my job. The gym where I'd met Jace decided my conduct was inconsistent with company values once the story got out. Turns out when you become the cautionary tale everyone whispers about, employers don't want you around. I moved in with my parents. At 32, sleeping in my childhood bedroom, getting up twice a night with a baby I only had 50% of the time. My mother tried to be supportive, but I'd see her looking at me sometimes with this confusion, like she didn't recognize her own daughter. How could you do it? She asked once. You had everything? I had no answer. Because she was right. Social media was a nightmare. I deleted everything, but screenshots lived forever. Someone had recorded Linda's announcement at a family gathering where she called me a Jezebel who'd corrupted her son. It had 200,000 views. I became that story. The cautionary tale mothers told daughters. The example wives used when their husbands worked late. At least I'm not that woman who cheated on her husband while pregnant with his baby. The worst part wasn't the judgment from strangers. It was watching my daughter grow up in 2 separate homes, seeing her bond with Emily, seeing Mark rebuild the family I destroyed with someone who deserved it. At her 2nd birthday party, Mark's weekend, I wasn't invited but saw the photos. She was surrounded by all the family and friends who used to be mine. Mark's arm around Emily. My daughter in a dress Emily probably picked out. Everyone smiling like this was how it was always meant to be. And maybe it was. Maybe I was just the mistake that had to happen for Mark to find his real happiness. I tried dating. It was pointless. Every first date ended the same way. They'd Google me, find something about the divorce, and I'd never hear from them again. Or worse, they'd stick around thinking I was easy, damaged goods. Jay sent me a friend request 2 years later. I stared at his profile, living his California dream, engaged to a fitness model, not a care in the world. I blocked him without responding. He'd gotten to walk away clean. Just fun, remember? My daughter is 4 now. She loves her life with Daddy and Emily. Emily is teaching her piano. Emily volunteers at her preschool. Emily is everything I should have been. Last month, my daughter told me she wished she could live with Daddy all the time. I smiled and said, I love our weekends together, baby. But Daddy's house is more fun. And Auntie M makes better pancakes. Kids are honest like that. They don't know they're breaking your heart with the truth. Mark got remarried last year. I wasn't told until after. I found out from my daughter, who'd been a flower girl. Daddy's new wife is really pretty, she said. Way prettier than in pictures. She didn't mean anything by it. She was 3. But I understood what she'd heard adults saying. I see Mark maybe 3 times a month during exchanges. He's not cruel. He's not cold. He's just done. I'm a responsibility he handles efficiently. The mother of his child who he has to co-parent with. That's all I am to him now. Sometimes I catch him looking at Emily the way he used to look at me. Soft. Protective. Present. And I feel the full weight of what I threw away. I didn't just lose my husband. I lost the man who'd loved me more than anyone else ever had or ever will. I lost the family we were supposed to build. I lost my daughter's full-time mother role to a woman who deserves it more than I do. I started therapy last year. My therapist asked me what I wanted to work toward. I want to forgive myself, I said. She was quiet for a long moment. Maybe that's not the goal. Maybe the goal is learning to live with what you've done. That's where I am now. Living with it. Every single day. The weight of it never gets lighter. My daughter will grow up and eventually learn the full story. Mark said he'll tell her when she's old enough to understand. I don't know what I'll say when she asks me why. I don't have a good answer. I was selfish. I was weak. I wanted to feel desired more than I wanted to be decent. There's no redemption arc here. No moment where everyone forgives me and we all heal together. This is just my life now. The consequence of thinking I deserved more than what I had. Mark has everything he should have had in the first place, a partner who respects him, a stable family, a daughter who knows security. He got his happy ending. Emily gave him that. I got exactly what I earned. A part-time role in my daughter's life. A studio apartment I can barely afford. The knowledge that I destroyed the best thing that ever happened to me for a man who never even knew my middle name. People say everyone makes mistakes. They say nobody's perfect. But what I did wasn't a mistake, it was a choice. A series of choices. Every lie. Every hotel room. Every time I looked at Mark and pretended everything was fine. I live with those choices now. In the quiet of my apartment on the weekends my daughter isn't here. In the photos I'm not in. In the family I don't have. And the worst part, the part that keeps me up at night? I don't get to be the victim in this story. I'm just the warning label other women see and think, at least I'm not her. They're right. At least they're not me.